Just got this amazing PlayStation button light and it reacts to music. Check this out.
Look, I'm doing the dishes.
Aw, it's your fucking job. If you want someone to coddle you.
Yes, I'm aware that this video is just a joke, but it actually does bring up a real thing that couples deal with. I fucking hate so much that if a woman is told that something is her job, like cooking, cleaning, laundry, etc., that's called sexism. But if we're told that something is a man's job, like an actual stereotypical man thing, like shoveling the snow, cutting the grass, or fixing stuff around the house, he just has to deal with it and do it because he's a man. But it's only sexism if we tell women that it's her job. Now, I, of course, I fully believe in equality, so yes, I do believe that men should do housework just like women. But on the flip side, that also means that women should learn how to fix things or do the heavier labor things that men normally do, such as shoveling snow and cutting grass and all that kind of shit. But yet, if women are told to do those things, they say, well, why? That's a man's job. I shouldn't have to do it. I'm a woman. Okay, then don't fucking tell us to do the dishes or cook, clean, or do laundry. So sick of this fucking hypocrisy.
Right, you got 15 seconds to try and tap faster than me. I bet you can't beat me. Come on. I told you weren't gonna beat me. Come on.
Well, right now I look like a fucking hobo, but... Is that better?
Someone tell me how a car is only 3 people wide, but a bus is 5 people.
First of all, if you look at a car driving on the road, like between the lanes, there's a lot of space on the left and right side of the car. But when you look at a bus, there's very little space left because of how much wider a bus is. Additionally, the seats on a bus are way smaller, or thinner, and the actual, wall of the bus is a lot thinner because there's less insulation on a bus. When you consider all 3 of those factors, it becomes really easy why a bus can handle 5 seats and a car can only handle 3. Basic logic.
But who the fuck told us women that we should weigh 120 pounds? I was talking with a...
The exact same person who told you that you can't wear the same dress twice. Other women, not men.
Gee, this bin is from the future. When it gets full, it automatically seals the...
We see lazy technology like this all the time. There's multiple videos just like this of random household objects that do it for you, and I fucking hate them. And you might think I'm gonna say something like, oh, because people are so lazy, just do it yourself. And while yes, that is actually part of my reason, it's also because most of the time it's also fucking slower. You can't tell me that machine right there is somehow faster than you just picking up the bag with your hand and tying it. Because it's not. I can literally pick a bag out of a garbage can and tie it up in about 6 seconds. That took over 10. And it'll probably break quickly because it's modern technology. I'm so sick of these fucking videos.
The worst shift to work. I'll go first. Hands down, no discussion, bro.
I actually don't think I've ever disagreed with a video more in my entire life. And this isn't even a political thing. Okay, let's start off with all the morning shifts. We got a 7 to 3, an 8 to 4, and a 9 to 5. All 3 of these suck. Most people in the world, just generally speaking, don't like waking up early in the morning. Most people are not morning people, okay? Think about it like this, and I'll prove it with a simple statement. When most people have a day off work, they say, "Oh, thank God, now I get to sleep in." It's pretty rare you'll hear somebody say, "Oh, tomorrow I have a day off. I can't wait to wake up early." And then next is the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., aka the night shift. Now, I did this for 5 years and I developed insomnia. I personally like night shifts based on the job because I like being up at night, and usually jobs are easier during that shift. It's harder on your body, but easier, the job itself is easier. But again, most people find this shift very hard on their body, because it is. The body is not meant to be up at night, so this is definitely a very hard shift. And then finally, the one he claims is the worst is the 3 to 11. How? I do agree that it takes up a lot of your day, but with this shift, you can get up later, go to bed later, and you can do stuff in the morning before you go to work. Keep in mind that most places like banks and stuff, or government buildings, close at 5 p.m. So if you do any of the 3 day shifts, you can pretty much never visit any places that close at 5 p.m. unless you rush or take a day off. Whereas at 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. you can do everything up until like 1 or 2 p.m. That's a large part of your day. Do it all before work and then go to work. Man, I disagree with you.
Tell me you love Final Fantasy without telling me you love Final Fantasy. I'll go first.
Makes you subconsciously bond with your partner.
All love to this creator, she's 100% right.
Okay, actually you're both wrong, but that's okay. Being religious, it makes sense that you're wrong about pretty much everything. First of all, while it is technically true, you release oxytocin after a hookup, kind of giving you the impression that you connect with someone who you don't really connect with, you actually do a lot more damage by having sex after getting married, because you don't know if you have a physical connection until then, hence why the high divorce rates. There are 3 main aspects to connection: physical, mental, and emotional. You can develop a mental and emotional connection before marriage without having sex, but not a physical one. And if you find out afterwards that you just don't connect with a person physically until after, that can really cause a lot of damage. In fact, it causes more damage. Also, the premise of your point is really stupid. You're implying that a person is going to go right into marriage based only off of a physical connection or a hookup, but did you forget that you can connect with somebody on a physical level on a hookup, continue dating afterwards, see if you have the emotional and mental one too, then get married? You're acting as if people get married right after sex, and that's why having sex before marriage is bad. You can develop all 3 connections before getting married, whereas if you're religious and wait until after marriage to have sex, then you can only create 2 connections before marriage. Think before you talk. Ah, yes, this again. If a guy doesn't like being sexually assaulted, he must be gay. But if you were to reverse this, it would literally be sexual assault. It would be on the news. Feminists would be talking about it. Look at the fucking the writing on the video. When you don't like hot girls, or the caption putting a laughing emoji and things like that. People are so fucking dense that they don't even understand how easy this is. Even if you say to them, reverse the genders, they're just like, what? What can I say? This is sexual assault. And just because a guy doesn't want it doesn't fucking make him gay. If I even uttered the syllables of, if a girl doesn't want it, she's a lesbian, because I'd be banned. In fact, this video might get banned anyway. I've already been banned like 10 times, although I don't care. Quite frankly, I'm trying to get banned on TikTok. I've already been banned. I've already had about 15 videos taken off of TikTok, and I've been locked out of TikTok, I think, twice now. And I have an account warning because I tell too much truth. And every time I post a video in support of men because we need it, those videos get banned as well. But any video that is against men or supports women, those stay up. Drew a Flu is literally the female Andrew Tate, but she can fucking stay up, while Andrew Tate gets banned. Sexist women can stay up, assault against men can stay up, domestic abuse against men can stay up, and even be laughed at, supported, encouraged. But if you even utter a negative or realistic statement about a woman, those get taken down. I'm so far beyond sick of this. It is unbelievable. You fucking sexist, disgusting fucking pigs who attack men or demean men and just think it's okay because it's a societal norm to do so now, regardless of how wrong it is. Hey, it's funny because you're a guy! But if you're a girl, it's horrible. We've actually seen men on talk shows too, like Maury and stuff, like those kinds of shows, talking about being abused by a woman and the audience laughs. It's happened on Maury, Dr. Phil, Jeremy Kyle, all kinds of things. But it's funny if it happens to a man. Yeah, men have so many privileges. The privileges of being laughed at when we're assaulted, abused, or raped. Hilarious.
Quietly quitting means that you're doing just enough to get by.
Just enough. This is what I hate about boomers. They have no concept of like modern economics, recession, inflation, how things are today compared to 20 plus years ago. Let's do a direct comparison. Did you know that for a person working full-time minimum wage 20 plus years ago, a person now, to be at the same place as them, would have to work 4 full-time minimum wage jobs? 20 plus years ago, a man working full-time would be able to support himself, his girlfriend or wife, multiple kids, and a house. A person today doing that exact same work could only support themselves, and barely, because they'd have to like live in a house, in like a shared house with roommates. We are currently living in the worst recession in human history, the highest inflation in human history, and the highest depression in human history. Most people today are barely even motivated to work, and it's not laziness, it's because of literal depression. Entertainment today is also at its lowest it's ever been, and it's not just because of COVID. Back in the day, you could work your full-time job and still have enough money and time and enjoyment to go watch a movie, go to a festival, a concert, a club, etc. But today, people can't even go to the movies anymore. And again, not laziness, it's because nobody can fucking afford it. A movie now is like 20 bucks. 20 years ago plus, it was like 3. You cannot make the argument that people today just need to try a little harder, because that's bullshit. People today are actually working very hard, in fact harder than you. Not because you're lazy either, but because you didn't need to work as hard. People today are struggling just to buy food, and it's because of food prices. Cost of living today is at the highest it's ever been ever. While minimum wage has doubled in the last 20 plus years, the cost of living has gone up by like 12 times. A house that was $200,000 in the year 2000 or 1990 would today be over $1.5 million. The same thing applies to food. 20 years ago or 30 years ago, when you went to the grocery store and spent $50 on food, that exact same amount of food today would be over $250 to $300. Today, you work harder than ever, and you end up with less than ever. Less happiness, less entertainment, less money in your pocket, less things to look forward to. People now go to work, they go home and sit on the couch all night until they go back to work the next day. We don't have the enjoyment and fun of life that we had 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. You used to enjoy your life and do very little to get it. Now we work ourselves to the bone and get nothing. People today are not lazy. We're just fucking burned out.
50-50 with a man in a healthy relationship doesn't exist.
I wrote a script for this because she just made so many mistakes. She says a man who goes 50-50, which is equal, doesn't have intention of financially providing. Well, firstly, if you are already going 50-50, why also go financial? That would be above 50. She then claims that if a man expects the woman to pay for herself, he also expects her to raise his kids. Where the fuck is that coming from? First of all, no man expects that, unless he's working and she isn't. But also, the point directly contradicts you claiming it's 50-50. She then goes on to claim how a woman taking care of the kids but the man isn't makes it no longer equal. But again, you weren't even talking about that. You were talking about 50-50 relationships. As you continue talking about the mother only taking care of the kids, why aren't you taking into account the man who works full-time when she doesn't? You then talk about men who lack intention after getting his woman pregnant. You are clearly projecting here. The real reason why relationships are degrading, objectively speaking, is actually because of crazy feminists who demand that men work full-time and be a full-time dad and provide for the woman, all while she does basically nothing. Men have given up on the dating world because they're sick of being taken advantage of. She then claims that men today have no discipline or leadership. Meanwhile, women like you think a man who takes the lead are sexist pigs, and you also believe that nothing a man does is ever enough. Do you know how often a man who works overtime to provide for his family is then told, "You're never home, so I'm leaving you"? A fucking lot. You then say society wants to push women to be more masculine. No, feminism did that. Women were at their happiness in the 60s, historically speaking, when they were homemakers. You chose to be the front of the workforce now, and now you're complaining about it. Meanwhile, you still left men to do most of the dangerous jobs while you work in a cushy office. Those are the facts. Okay, I usually like everything older because most things that are older are way better than the new modern fucking garbage, but here's one old thing that I actually think sucks, and I'll explain why. Sliding closet fucking doors. I hate these pieces of shit. They should be outlawed and not exist anymore. The first problem is that the goddamn track will always get stuck and they break fairly easily. The second problem is when you have your closet door open, you can only slide to one side. So no matter what, you will always have half of your closet closed off. If there were regular doors here on both sides, you could just open them both up and see your whole closet from left to right and not have to worry about slide this way, slide that way, and even if it is open, no matter what, always having one side of the fucking closet closed off. These fucking things suck. There's no reason that closet doors should not just be regular doors that swing open. They don't break as easily, and they let you see your whole closet in one shot without having to worry about always sliding the damn door. I hate these things. Who agrees with me?
Okay, he's a 10, but he cheats.
Zero.
What is a
He's a 10, but he's a 10, but he's a 10, but shut the fuck up. I hate this trend. This trend is so bad, I even got a fucking email from restaurants that use the, it's a 10, but something about, like, food. Like, are you kidding? I love how, for so long, SJWs and feminists were like, don't rate women 1 to 10 because it's sexist. But, now that it's a trend, and a trend created by women, primarily used against men. I know it's on both sides, but it's mostly used by women and towards men. All of a sudden, it's perfectly fine. Fuck off.
I've got a new question for you guys. Why do you think guys no longer want to get married?
This girl literally asked a question that she literally knew the answer to. In her video, she says, men don't want to get married anymore, but we're not all feminists. Yeah, so you know why. It's because of feminism. Marriage has no benefit for men anymore. I mean, it's not like it ever really did in the first place, because, I mean, starting right from the wedding, it's all about the women. What the women want, it's all about her big day, it's not your big day. But there's even less benefit now, in terms of just enjoyment, in terms of financial benefit, in terms of freedom, in terms of what feminism has done to men, making us all miserable and homeless, and just removing, basically to summarize, removing the entire idea of what love and marriage is supposed to be, you know, love. It has been drilled into guys' minds their whole lives. Happy wife, happy life. Because men don't matter. We don't matter. Your happiness, our happiness, is based on them. So what kind of a man would want to get married when he can only be happy if she's happy or she allows him to get married? And why is it happy wife, happy life? Why can't it just be happy couple, happy couple? But as we've seen in our society for years, it's not even about marriage. Relationships in general. Women have no obligation to make a man happy, even though men have it harder.
Boys don't cry. Man up. Girls are smarter. Girls mature faster. Pink is for girls. She's too pretty for you. Reading is for girls. You don't watch sports? Don't be a bitch. You're still a virgin? That's pathetic. All men are dog. Nice guys finish last. Why can't you be more like him? You must be overcompensating. I don't date shorter guys. What do you drive? You're lucky she even went out with you. She didn't rape you. You liked it. Men can't be raped. Don't hold the door for me, misogynist. Where are all the good men at? Get a better paying job. You're working too much. You need a hobby, but not that hobby. That hobby's too expensive. If you want to do that, you're gonna need to make more money. Tell me how you feel. I can't help that you feel that way. Why don't you ever cry? I need a real man. Just go get Viagra already. Do more housework. Not that way. Just stop. You're doing it wrong. I can't trust you with the kids. But you went out with the guys last month. I don't care. Just pick something. Not that. Oh, and not that either. I don't mean it like that. You know what I mean. You're a guy. Your life is easy. Why don't you just talk to me anymore? You've changed. You're not the man I married. Pack your stuff and leave.
100%, I do this every single time I'm cooking. Everything I touch, every piece of food, every fucking, like, kitchen utensil, I rinse my hand under the water. Because, like, honestly, I know I have OCD and I'm, like, a clean freak and everything, but I can't understand why the average person wouldn't do this. Like, why would you want to touch, like, for example, let's say you touch an egg yolk. Why would you, with the egg yolk on your fingers, then want to touch, like, various utensils or, I don't know, bottles of seasoning, and then just pass the residue of food, or if your hands are greasy from touching oil or something? Why would you want to... I see people cooking all the time, like even friends, and they're going around touching, like, a bottle of oil, a piece of food, a plate, a container, just all kinds of different things, you know, fruits and vegetables, whatever. They're touching thing and thing and thing and thing while cooking, and they don't rinse their hands in between. So everything you've touched is, like, connected. And also, like, you know, if you touch a bottle of some kind, now the food you touch is on the bottle. I don't get why the average person does not do that.
Don't start to suffer in silence. Don't give into all the violence. Don't let depression define us. Don't hear the words of the spineless. Don't start to suffer in silence. Don't give into all the violence. Don't let depression define us. Don't hear the words of the spineless.
Name an annoying thing that people base their entire personality about.
Pronouns. And let me explain to you why. Because of our modern day and the way the world is and everything now, nobody has any more uniqueness about them. Nobody feels important. Everybody's obsessed with making themselves appear important on social media while not actually being important at all. Doing nothing with their lives. Entertainment in modern day has died down so much compared to the past. People need something to feel special. And the way they do this is primarily because of what SJWs have done. You know how they're so obsessed with all this, like, gender stuff and pronouns and transgender this and that, and how most of it is just trendy. Yeah, too bad if you disagree with that. It's a fact. It actually is mostly about trends as opposed to, like, actual self stuff. I have videos on this on YouTube if you want to check it out, but the point is, it's mostly just for people to feel important, because it's the only way people can feel unique anymore. So they feel that if they don't be like, this is my pronoun and you respect it, it's me, it's who I am, okay, my gender is, I identify as a fucking TV, a toaster, a helicopter, whatever. These fucking things were invented specifically to make people who have no personality and no life feel special about themselves by giving themselves a label and being like, I have a label, therefore I matter. Look, here's the label. Look, 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 the label's right here. Look at it. Fucking look at the label. That's all it is.
My deepest secret is that I'm like 100% gay.
Don't fucking lie to me.
Public service announcement. Excuse me.
We see it all over social media. Racist videos like this are allowed on TikTok, allowed on YouTube, allowed all over big tech. But if the roles were reversed, or even if a white person defends themselves from this, they get banned. In fact, this video right here might get banned just because I'm speaking against it. Tell you, man, but if it was a white person saying, there's too many black people here, we're getting uncomfortable, it would be front page fucking news for the next 10 years. For all the stupid people, especially the young stupid people here on TikTok, this is racism. Ignore what your stupid liberal arts university taught you.
Why don't you believe in God? This is the question I'm asking you. I'm calling...
Because I have something between my ears right around here called a brain. When I was 14, I went to church up until I was 14. Went to Sunday school, did the whole fucking 9 yards. At 14, I became way too smart to actually believe in God. So I left the church and all that, right? Now, if I die and God is real, nothing happens. When you die and God's not real, you wasted your entire life judging people, insulting people, attacking people, telling people that they're going to go to hell, restricting your life, living in fear, for literally no reason. You waste your time by believing in God. God is bullshit. Church is bullshit. The Bible is bullshit. That is a fact. If God was real, then he'd be a fucking horrible, disgusting, awful person for letting people starve or die at young ages, have cancer at 5 and things like that, or let some people, have everything in their lives being fully functional, while some people are amputees and have all kinds of terrible, awful conditions and disasters like tornadoes and hurricanes and all kinds of shit. If God was real, he wouldn't really allow these kinds of things. That's why we call them natural disasters, because they're just natural. They don't happen because God made them happen. And as I said, if he did, then fuck him, he's a piece of shit. Religion is specifically designed for control. That's literally why it was made. That is a fact. And people who believe in it are nothing but afraid, manipulated, and brainwashed. And you also need something in your life, because if you don't have something to believe in, you feel useless. But my advice to you is that you shouldn't. You still have a life. You still have your own morals, I would hope, and not just judge your morals based on things that you're told by the church. I would hope that you had morals inside of you, and you were able to live your life happy without relying on religion to give you that happiness. Don't get me wrong, I actually do believe in a higher power, but I believe in it from a spiritual point of view, not a religious one. I just really, really, really prefer facts over fantasy.
To answer your first question about how they were built better, we'll just go through these 2 fridges. And this goes for...
Fucking thank you. It is so nice to see somebody with a brain. Whenever I see somebody asking, well, how is it better? It's older. That is the reason, you stupid shit. Look, first of all, it's literally admitted and conceptualized by companies. Have you ever heard of planned obsolescence? Look it up, because it's been a thing for like 30 years. If you don't know what it is, I'll give you a quick summary. Basically, it's where companies deliberately design things to break after just a year or two so that you have to buy more of it. There is a reason why a TV from the 60s or 70s still works today, but your flat screen breaks in 3 years. There's a reason why a Super Nintendo or an NES or a Sega Genesis still work today, but your fucking PS3 and PS4 are already broken. There's a reason why a cell phone from 20 years ago can be dropped from the CN Tower and not break, but a modern phone can be dropped onto a pillow and crack. There's a reason why modern appliances break after like 8 years. Like, actually, the average now for a fridge is like 8 years. 20, 30 years ago, the average for a fridge was like 40 years. Actually, I shouldn't say 20 years. It's more like 60 years. Like a 1950s fridge will still work today. A 1950s record player will still work today. This applies to everything. Clothing, furniture, home appliances, video game consoles, technology, everything. It is a fucking fact that older stuff is built stronger and made to last longer. And companies admit to this with planned obsolescence, okay? Do you, like... I actually know people in real life who genuinely believe that modern phones last longer today, but then in the same breath will admit that companies like Apple, for example, will make a new phone every year. And then I ask them the following question. Why would a company waste resources to make a phone more reliable, but still want you to buy it every year? And they had no answer, because these people are fucking stupid. Phones are designed to break quickly so that you buy the next one. It's not even intelligent from a business standpoint to make a piece of technology last longer, but still want you to buy it more often. Use your brain, especially young people. Your shit today breaks in just a few months or like 1 or 2 years. In our grandparents' day, their appliances and everything lasted forever. It's a fact.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke.
He's right. He wasn't always right, but he was right a lot of the time. And this is one of those things. And you might say, well, why is this thing so important? Because he's anti-SJW. And when you are against the #1 most damaging thing in the modern world, it simply means that you would not cause the amount of damage that they did. And this is why the establishment and all of the sheep who watch the mainstream media didn't like him. Because he was real. And he knew shit like that. But then again, by all means, vote for Biden and then regret voting for him and wondering why you did it, and then do the exact same thing 4 years from now. Stupid fucks.
Serious question. Would you let a guy take you to a chain restaurant, like to Olive Garden?
Red Lobster or Olive Garden? That's what you consider a chain restaurant? I mean, I get it. Technically, they are chains. It's not like an independent place. But usually when people say the word chain, they're referring to like fast food places, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, etc. And quite frankly, you should be satisfied with even that. Because your question was, are you okay with a guy taking you there? I assume you also mean that he's paying for it. How selfish do you have to be? Like, if you're going out for food, appreciate the damn food. Unbelievable. And based on your question, because you specifically mentioned Red Lobster or Olive Garden, if that's not good enough for you, which is actually pretty expensive, you are selfish, and I hope a guy never takes you out.
I forgot to put down the toilet seat when I went to the toilet. Almost fell into the toilet.
This is so fucking stupid. Here's the thing. I actually agree when women say that men should put the toilet seat down. But only if women are gonna put it up. The fact that women feel like they have the privilege of men putting it down for a woman, but a woman doesn't have to put it up for him, is fucking stupid. I support it only if you do the same thing. But one part of it that I never understood is women who go, oh, the seat was up, and I went to go sit down and I fell in the bowl. It's one thing to be privileged to the point where you want us to do it for you, but it's even worse that you're so fucking stupid you can't even look before sitting down. Are you kidding? Like, you actually literally have to have on horse blinders to not at least see that it's up. I understand you don't want to put it down, but to not even notice that it's up? If you fall in the toilet seat, you fucking deserve it.
Didn't think that this was true, but watch. Go to your Google browser. Type in...
Jesus Christ. Okay. What's insinuated here is that no matter what number you type in, Google is going to basically fake the numbers to scare you. You know, and of course what he's saying is that every result is going to always be the same day and the same country, because honestly, if Google faked it that way, I wouldn't be surprised, because they normally do fake their results to scare people or to curate whatever people see, what they want them to see for fear, all that shit. But in this situation, in this one particular situation, people who believe this are fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Okay, they have been tracking daily COVID numbers since about March of 2020, which means that since then, there's been about 550 days, right? Because right now we're in almost September of 2021. That means that when you consider the fact that you already have about 550 different numbers, because there's been 550 approximately different days since they started counting numbers, plus you're guaranteed to get different numbers based on the fact that there's over 200 different countries. That's why it is basically guaranteed that no matter what number you type in, something is going to come up from some country with some different number of COVID cases on some different date. Now, if they were all, for example, today I believe is August 26th, right? If every single result was August 26th, and they were all in the same country, then yes, you could say that they are deliberately putting in any number for every single day. But they're not. Even in your video, you can literally see that it gives a different date that coordinates with the number you typed in, and it would also change the country if that number coordinates with a different date from a different country altogether. This is really not that hard.
So this is what $80 in groceries looks like.
Here's a little tip for you. Don't ever, ever buy bottles of seasoning. They're like $10. Buy bags of seasoning. Yes, I know the bottle looks nicer and it's more convenient, but if you want to save money, the bags hold more and usually cost between $1 to $3. The bottles hold less than the bags and are $10, just because they're in a fucking bottle. Follow for more intelligence. I genuinely hope that people like this have some understanding that you can actually be a really good organizer without wasting all of your fucking money. The majority of things that people do in videos like this is they take things out of packages to put them in a different fucking package. Like, I'm actually a professional organizer, and I can still keep the cereal in the boxes and have it be decent and save the money on just buying a different box that I transfer the cereal to and waste money. And the same thing goes for like foil and stuff. Parchment paper, aluminum foil, plastic wrap, Ziploc bags. Just keep them in the fucking package that they come in. You'll be able to organize better, not waste your time transferring things, and of course not waste money. Stop doing that!
What can white people do that black people can't?
I can't think of anything white people can do that black people can't. However, I can think of a lot of things that black people can do that white people can't. Here's a little list I made. Riot and have everyone call it peaceful. Protection by the media. Have your crime stats artificially deflated by the mainstream narrative, despite the fact that black people make up 13% of the US population but commit more than half of all the crimes. Be praised for being blatantly racist to white people. Have the media actually acknowledge it when a black person is attacked by a cop. Affirmative action. Encouraged victim complexes. Commit theft and be applauded for it. Exist without being called racist just for existing. Walk down the street without getting dirty looks. Destroy businesses and set fires and be called patriots. Yeah, and there's a fuck ton more, but I think that is enough for now. So, yeah.
In this tyrannical patriarchy, of course, who's at the top? Men.
One of the most toxic and flawed arguments that stupid people, SJWs, and feminists make is that all of the most powerful people in the world are men. So? Do you actually think that those men give a fuck about the average man? And, like, there are people and even smarter people will say, well, they're just the 1%. Actually, they're not. They're not even 1%. Those men are 0.000000000000001%. Far below 1%. And the fact that idiots will say that those men, those hyper-rich billionaires, are representative of men in general is fucking beyond flawed. The average man is far more disadvantaged than the average woman. Okay, just because most billionaires are men does not do fuck all for the average man like myself or Joe Blow on the street, whatever. Okay? If it was representative of the average man, then the average man would not make up 80% of all suicides, the majority of mental health problems, the majority of domestic abuse victims, the majority of victims of violent crimes, the majority of victims who work dirty jobs, not billionaire office CEO jobs. I'm talking about dirty jobs. Coal miners, plumbers, electricians, garbage men, all that shit. Mostly all men. 90% of those jobs are done by men. And then, of course, you got the women being like, oh, you know, men are useless and all this shit. Really? I would love to see more women in these jobs. Anyway, sorry, I've gone off topic here. The point is, yeah, that's just a very flawed way of thinking, and if you do think that way, you are fucking dumb, and hopefully this video taught you not to think that way anymore. Okay? This is just a quick video for all the stupid hypocrites out there who say things like, you're not supposed to have a minimum wage job for your whole life. Those are meant for teenagers and college students. While at the same exact fucking time admit that boomers fucked over the world for us, or at least think boomers fucked over the world for us. Because here's why you're a hypocrite. That statement about minimum wage jobs is literally a boomer opinion. It's your fucking parents who tell you to go to school, get a better job, and make more money. But here's the reality to both boomers and stupid younger hypocrites. You can't. Look, going to school to make more money was kind of the whole point of school years ago. But if you've paid any attention the last 10 years, you may have stumbled upon and noticed a little something. That when you're looking at job ads online, this applies to Canada and the US, there's a lot of jobs that are still paying minimum wage or like $1 more, big deal. But the requirements will still say things like bachelor's degree required, college required, master's degree required. You know why? Because jobs want you to do more, but still pay you less. So, it's like, why even have jobs that require a master's degree or a PhD or a bachelor's degree if you're going to be making the exact same amount of money as a fucking retail job? They're screwing you over, and they know they are. It's like, you might as well just work in retail. You're still going to work a minimum wage, and if you are being paid like $1 more at some kind of master's degree requirement job, is it worth it? Is it worth going to school for that job when you're only making $1 more per hour? Over the last 10 years, jobs have been screwing people over more and more and more to make you require more. School also requires more, like tuition, and yet you're still being paid less at your job. Inflation and cost of living in general is up thousands of %, while your minimum wage has gone up like 10%. And when you ratio that against what jobs are paying compared to the requirements for those jobs, it's even more off balance. It's a boomer take. And people who work minimum wage are not just failures or kids in college or kids in, teenagers, whatever. They're people who are struggling like everyone else, and you probably will too, so shut your mouth.
I did. No one tell me. Having a man who doesn't.
Wow, what an ignorant girl. Like, the assumption that, oh, If he's a gamer, it must be because he's not good enough to get a girl. Meanwhile, if he did, you'd complain about that too, and rightfully so. Who wants a cheater? But now you have a guy who simply has a hobby, and you act like that's also a bad thing. You know how happy he'd be if you asked him if you could join or play the game? No, of course you don't. In your mind, it's like he's either a cheater or a gamer. Nothing in between. So ignorant.
I'm going to ask a very simple question. What freedoms have been taken?
Sure, I'll answer your stupid question. In fact, I even made a list to help you out. The right to choice. The right to in-person healthcare and not just calling your doctor over the phone. The right to seeing your family members and friends in person. The right to go to movie theaters or restaurants without feeling like you're entering an airport gate. The right to work your job without being forced to get jabbed or risk being fired. The right to breathe natural air without getting dirty looks from psychotic mask addicts. Our kids' right to see what their parents' and classmates' faces look like. The right to proper mental health help, so that we can get out of what is currently the biggest depression and suicide crisis in Canadian history. And to give a little bit more impact behind the whole one about kids seeing faces, I know to an idiot it doesn't matter because you think that masks are like the new face or something. I've actually seen multiple videos, especially recently, where kids were at the Ottawa protest and they actually approached some of the people who were there. There's actually videos of this, by the way. And kids like crying, almost like in surprise of what people look like, what their smiles look like, because they barely had the chance to see them. They see their like parents smile when they're home, and that's about it. But they don't see classmates smile, friends smile, teachers smile, and even then, a lot of them are taking school at home. These kids are being fucking stunted because of this mandate. So not only is depression and suicide rising for people who are older, like adults, teenagers, and older, but even kids are being stunted now, and you're not seeing the effects right now, but believe me, you will. You may think that the effects of them just being sad and crying is something that they'll just get over. But wait about 10 years from now, because those kids will be emotionally and mentally damaged from this. But anyway, any more stupid questions?
A guy that is in a relationship to be interested in other girls.
Oh, okay, so if a man cheats, it's cheating. But if a woman cheats, it's because he's not meeting her needs. Okay, moving aside from the traditional men are to blame for everything, no matter what side it's on, as always. But let's just talk statistics. I know you people fucking hate that, especially on this app. Okay, statistically speaking, most of the time when men cheat, it's actually because their needs are not being met. And yes, some of those needs are sexual, but physical intimacy is actually more important to men than it is for women. That is true, whether if you want to hear it or not. I'm not saying sex is not important to women. It's very important to women. It's just more important to men. Did you know that for a woman to feel a connection, she actually has to feel the emotional connection first to get the physical? But men are the complete opposite. Men actually obtain emotional connection after physical. It's not a bad thing, we're just different. Anyway, for men, it's usually our needs not being met, whether if they're sexual or emotional, mental, support, various things. Whereas, statistically speaking, women are more likely to cheat for the same reasons, but other reasons too, that men are not very common to cheat for. You know what they are? Boredom. That's right. When it comes to just being bored with your partner, women are actually more likely to cheat than men. Just because he's boring. We don't do very much. He's boring. I've lost that spark, that craziness in the relationship. Whereas men are more likely to stay in a relationship that he might find boring, but he still won't cheat. Whereas women are more likely to cheat. Okay? Also, just in general, I believe the stats on just overall cheating are almost 50-50. But in terms of the reason to do so, women usually do it for less reason than men. That's a stat. Don't like it, don't care.
Checking guys we invite over from Hinge that say they're 6 foot.
Yet another sexist fucking pig. Why don't we do that to you when you tell us about your height, your weight, your boob size? Yeah, let's get the fucking scale out to test your weight if you're gonna test a man's height. Something that he can't control, by the way. Fuck your sexist shit.
Listen to this. So, for example, if you were 22 years of age...
Before you watch my video, go to his video and finish it. All I want to say is, this is not new. This is yet another thing out of the... I've lost track. We're somewhere in the billions now. But this is yet another thing that was called a conspiracy theory and years later was confirmed to be true. Pretty much right when COVID started, nurses who worked in hospitals and stuff were literally admitting that people who died had fake death certificates with written the word COVID death. They were either people who just had COVID but died of something else, or didn't have COVID at all, but still had written COVID to inflate the numbers. And when nurses were saying that, admitting to it, people were either called conspiracy theories and the nurses were called liars. Now all of a sudden it's common knowledge. This is over 2 years old for most of us.
Where the fuck are they gonna live? How are they gonna afford homes? I can't afford a home.
I think you already know the answer because you look like an intelligent person, but I'm still going to answer both questions for the stupid people. 1, where are they all going to go? Very simple. Trudeau is going to cram more fucking people in Ontario so that the actual Canadian citizens get fucked over again in terms of our, inflation, cost of living, economy, and everything else. And, Trudeau doesn't seem to understand that we're like the 3rd biggest country in the world and like 50% of the entire country's population is in one province because he's a fucking moron. And 2, how are they going to afford it? Very simple. Trudeau doesn't give a flying shit about Canadian citizens. He gives everything to immigrants and refugees and all this shit. So when they come, they will literally get a free car, probably free money every month, a free home, free rent. But meanwhile, Canadian citizens are being shafted day after day after day after day. Welcome to Trudeau's Canada. We've been living in it for almost 10 years now.
This was every kid's worst nightmare.
Did you know that there's an easy fix for this? You can actually force the disk to work. When you click the browser button, it'll send you to a screen with a little image of your memory card where you can search your memory card, but also a little picture of your CD disk. Click that and you'll force the disk to load.
It's vegan because it's strawberry milk and not cow milk, you know what I mean?
Vegetables aren't good for you. You've been told that vegetables are the best things to eat.
Videos like this on TikTok right now are rampant. People saying vegetables are bad, fruit is bad, water is bad. And a lot of people commenting are like, well, what the hell can I eat? Here's the thing. Still eat them, even if they're bad. Because first of all, while they're bad, they're still better than fast food and stuff, right? But here's the ironic thing. Some of you may not remember this, especially if you're younger, but do you remember ever going to a doctor's office or a nutritionist's office and you see that board on the wall that says, here are the foods you should eat? If you remember 20 plus years ago, that board primarily contained fruit, vegetables, and nuts, and a few other things as well, right? If you look at that updated board over the last 10 or so years, the board now only shows vegetables. Nothing else, just vegetables. Because the truth is, because of the mass population, what they're doing is they're trying to make fruits and vegetables grow much faster, and in order to do that, they have to pump them with chemicals, which is actually making them less healthy. Back in the day, fruit was considered healthy. Now, fruit is considered the snack. But there's chemicals in everything. Even fucking water has chemicals now, over the last 15, 20 years maybe. Whereas before, it had either no chemicals or far less. So now they're saying, drink water, but only drink a certain amount of it. Here's the reality. Eat whatever the fuck you want. You'll die sooner, but at least you'll be happy. This is so cool. They put the fucking cookie side upside down. So there's the Oreo on that side, but on this side it's just flat. And if you take it off, they put it upside down. You can even see the imprint in the frosting of this side. You're right, it is easy. And if it is that easy, why don't you do it yourself? Additionally, if you want men to put it down for you, why don't you put it up for men? That's right. Feminists want special treatments. Well, I want equality. So do it yourself. We'll do it ourselves. Thanks. Bye. I have never, ever in my life seen a video that I wanted to be real more than this one.
Make sure that when a kid is in the womb, they're as safe as they are in a classroom.
Are you sure? Because it's those guns that you allow that makes kids in classrooms so safe. By the way, can I just point out that just general conservative logic is they don't actually give a fuck about life once the child is born. Like, conservatives, generally speaking, don't believe in, like, you know, healthcare, safety nets, things like that. Like, literally, conservatives are only pro-life until you're born. Once you're born, they're like, well, fuck you!
So I had to send this steak back 3 times to get...
You should literally be kicked out of Texas. If you eat a steak well done, sorry, but you're just not a true Texan. You're barely even a real person. Because everybody, even outside of Texas, knows that well done is basically an assault on meat, specifically steak. It should always be medium rare, and anybody who thinks that medium rare is raw is a fucking idiot. And you are an insult to all of Texas. Specifically Texas.
I might regret doing this, but I'm gonna try dipping my chicken burrito in the nacho cheese.
Wow, girl. Don't get too adventurous or you might just accidentally stumble upon putting ketchup on a hot dog. It'll blow your fucking mind.
How old were you when you finally realized that this thing right here wasn't there for show? It's actually there so you don't touch it.
You may not have known that because it's not actually true. It does help with that, but that's not its intent. The actual intent of that thing is so that the lid of the box doesn't compress and damage the cheese.
And say no to sex.
No.
No?
Not at all.
More of that sexism that people will deny. Women can take sex whenever they want because they get it less often than men, apparently. And women taking sex whenever they want also shows that they're strong and independent and, you know, get whatever they want. But if we reverse the roles... There's a word for that. Oh man, what's that word? Oh yeah, rape! But, you know, since men are the scum of the earth, apparently, it's only okay to rape somebody if you're a woman. If a man even said that, he would probably be in jail. But women can say it with a smile on their face and probably be congratulated for it. Say, yeah, girl, go get it, girl. You do you, and get what you want because you deserve it, queen. I'm so fucking sick of sexism. Oh my god.